welcome back. Bruce Porter joins us now for this week's Dollars and Cents segment. Always good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Good to be here, Tom.
Are you ready for the question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, put on that thinking cap.
All right.
I am 35 years old, single, and a homeowner with about 60% equity in my home with no other debt and a good job. My target retirement age is 55. What should I be focusing on to make sure that happens? Can I answer this one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just keep doing what you're doing.
You don't need us.
35, a homeowner, 60% equity, a good job, and he probably has a sailboat or something like that too, somewhere in the yard.
Yeah.
And a mower that mows the lawn by itself.
Don't blow it all on fast cars in Vegas.
That's about it. But it sounds like this person is going down the right path, though, I would think.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a good example. There are some people out here that are doing a lot of the right things. You really can't advise him to do anything differently other than when you approach that magical age of 55, don't get stung by a market type correction at 51 or 2 with not time to recover. So as you approach retirement, you want to pull back and be a little bit more conservative. But in general, if people watching this segment would take a lesson from him, the first thing you got to do when you're young and you've got a date, you want to retire, you've got to get on a written budget and you've got to control your expenses. You got to live within your means. You got to set your goals and objectives and your priorities, and you got to stick to it. Now, by doing that, that will allow you more money to put away for retirement and save.
Well, it sounds like he's being, or he or she, whomever, is being very smart about this. But the X factors are what you can't. How do you plan for the X factor? Because we were talking a little bit earlier, around 07, 08, a lot of people getting ready to retire, they lost, boom, and there's no recovery.
That's when you got to be pulling back.
Okay.
When you're 35, you got 20 years, you can afford a little bit of fluctuation and volatility. You can afford that concept of dollar cost averaging. So when everything's on sale, when the market takes a downturn, if you're smart and you've got a long-term objective, that's when you can dollar cost average by putting more money in when it's downturn. Again, we've talked about good value companies.
Right.
Just because they take a downturn doesn't mean their value's not there. It means your long-term objective could be very well off by buying at a discount and then watching it go for the next 15 years up, then pull and retire.
Watch the ebb and flow.
As you approach that date of retirement, though, within 5 years, you got to start circling the wagons. You got to pull back because you can't afford an unforeseen downturn with a 10-year recovery, because then you're older before you could really start realizing the fruits of your labor by saving money in retirement.
Now, he's saying he has 60% equity in the home, all right? Would you recommend, if this person is able to pay off the house and use that money to invest somewhere else?
Well, in this particular situation, not necessarily.
Okay.
If that home payment is within his budget and he's saving money outside, it's obvious he is. He's living within his means.
Right.
If you're not maxing out your 401k, you should be. Employers, it's kind of a 50% rule. They'll match up to 50% up to a certain amount. That's free money. So if you're making $50,000 a year and you put 6% in, that's $3,000. If your employer is matching with 3%, that's another $1,500. You got $4,500 a year going into a retirement plan. That's a good thing. As you get older, then you have less debt and you put more into your retirement plan. Now, to max out a retirement plan, we've talked about that. The contribution limit for a 401k this year is $18,000.
Right.
If you're age 50 or above, you can put an additional $6,000 in. So the rule is 0 to 100% of earned income in your 401k. Not all of us can afford to put all of our money in a 401k.
Yeah, true.
But as in his particular situation where his expenses are under control, he's got some excess money, he's probably got a safety net of money, a rainy day fund. Now's the time to really maximize.
And it's probably a good idea, even though you think you've got it all together, get some advice, because there are people who know the ins and outs.